This year, you have to be comfortable with being the villain. You have to be comfortable with being the bad guy. We are not allowing people to step all over us anymore this year. We're not biting our tongues. We're not sitting here minimizing things. No, you have to hold people accountable. It doesn't matter how big, how small. And you know, like sometimes when you're offended in like a slightly small way, you'll like overlook it and you won't address it just because you feel like it's minor. No, every minor thing, address it. I don't care how microscopic it is, because what's happening is people are going to deliberately do things to you. They pick up on your spirit, even if you don't even know these people personally. You're at the grocery store and you go to the register, right? You're watching the interaction, how the cashier is with the people before you. But when it comes to you, instantly things are different. Instantly the rules are changed. You know, what they did not or did require for the other people, you're not going to get that same pass. What makes you so different? Why was three or four other people a pattern? Why were they treated a certain way? But then when you walk up, magically there's no greeting. You can feel the energy shift. If you ask a question, you're being getting, short responses. You're not getting that pleasant smile, like no eye contact. What changed with you? Those little things that I'm talking about, like, speak up on it. Oh, hi, how are you? Make people feel uncomfortable the same way they make you feel uncomfortable. That's really how I had to start moving, because the type of heart that I have, I'm not allowing no one to feel comfortable with even thinking that you have a little bit of room to disrespect me. Because the moment you give somebody an inch, they will take a mile. And when you really set your boundaries and let people know what you will tolerate and what you will not tolerate, that's when you're going to realize like who really is for you. Because people who cannot respect your boundaries or respect the things that you're saying, they're going to show you immediately. As soon as you put up a wall, maybe they've been able to do something for a long period of time, and then you're like, no, we can't do that no more. You know what I mean? Like, whatever it is in your situation, once you put a wall up and you make boundaries and you're like, actually, I don't like that anymore. Actually, I don't want you to call me that anymore. Actually, I don't want to go to that place anymore. Actually, I don't want you letting certain people in my house anymore. Once you put those boundaries up, people who do not respect you, they are going to show you. They're going to start acting funny towards you. They literally are going to start acting as if you caused the problem, because they cannot handle the fact that you sit there and put boundaries in between you two. They feel as though they can just do whatever, say whatever. Like, no, hold people accountable. The same way people will sit here and turn a blind eye and make it seem like, oh, I didn't realize I did this, or I didn't realize that. You got to have that same mindset. Like, you can no longer let the smallest thing slide. And for instance, like what I was talking about, what example I just gave a reference to as far as like a cashier, that just happened to me. I'm at the store. There's about three or four people ahead of me. I'm not even going to be like judgmental, but like from the appearance, there's one person who didn't even have no shoes on. One person, barely had like uh normal looking clothes. They were like very holy and dirty and stuff like that. The point I'm making is, when these people went to the register, they had the utmost respect. They received the utmost respect, as they should. You know what I mean? Like, they deserve, their customers, they deserve the respect. When it came time to them to buy certain items, they only had to show their ID. They picked the ID up, they showed it. The cashier's like, oh, thank you, continue on with the transaction. My time, when I get up there, now when it comes time to you to greet me, just like you greeted everybody else, now you fiddling trying to put change in there. And what I notice is, when somebody doesn't want to speak to you, or if somebody doesn't even want to acknowledge you, they're gonna look everywhere else around you. They're gonna act like they're so busy, they're such in a hurry, like they start getting fidgety. It's like, dang, why you getting fidgety? No, they're trying to do things to distract them, so that basically they don't have to acknowledge you. So like what I'm getting at, when I get up to the register, now he's fiddling with the change and he got to get a receipt paper and he got to do this. And granted, I understand what it's like being a cashier, but I pay attention. I observe. Even after he finished everything he was doing, he still didn't acknowledge me. But he did what he did. So now, you such in a rush, right? You're just like, oh my God, I got to hurry up and get some change. I got to replace this. I got to replace that. Okay, boom. So once you get calm, you start scanning my items. Still, you never address me. Okay, cool. When it came to an item that I wanted to buy, I needed my ID. So I watched how you interact with other people. Not only did you greet them, you was very pleasant. When it came to the ID, They showed you the ID. You didn't actually even have the ID. They showed it to you. They didn't hand it to you, and then they put it back in their wallet. When it came to me, you asked for the ID. I actually handed it to you, and then until I went to see you go to scan it, and I'm like, what are you getting ready to do? Oh, I'm just gonna scan it if that's okay. Actually, it's not okay. And it caught him off guard. So he looking like, what do you mean, ma'am? I watched how you interact with 3 or 4 people before me. Not only were you very nice and pleasant, but I also paid attention to how they only showed you the ID. You didn't scan it, but when it came to me, you're asking for my ID to scan it. I'm like, what's that about? I'm like, what makes me any different? Oh, he couldn't stand that. When I asked that man what made me any different, it was like the look on his face. I'm going to do the same thing back to you. But to see, I'm going to do it with grace. And I'm going to do it in a way where you're going to feel ashamed. And it's like, that man, he was lost for words. Once I hit him with what made me so different, and he knew he didn't have no grounds to stand on, and he also knew that he was on bullshit. He knew spiritually how he felt about me and why he did the things he did, but he couldn't bring it to himself to open his mouth and say that, right? His actions spoke louder than words, but he couldn't bring his mouth to say it. And because I called him out on it, he was just like, whoa, like, you know what I mean? He didn't know how to handle it. Yeah, I pay attention. And what I should have said was, because when he's like, oh, no, it's not like that. Like, it's not like that. But he still didn't have a direct answer as to why did you not scan anybody else's ID, but when it came to me, you wanted to scan mine. Never mind the fact that you didn't want to speak to me or give me any type of customer service. I'm talking about specifically the ID. You looked at everyone else's but wanted to scan mine. Well, just a basic question, what made me different? Is it because of my age? Is it because of, I can't even say race because there was men and women. I can't say my sex because it was men and women. Only difference is I was the only black one. So, yeah. And because he couldn't answer that, he was stuck, fidgeting around. Yeah, I'm going to call you out on it. So this is what I'm talking about. I don't care how small something is. When somebody is treating you a certain type of way, speak on it. 9 times out of 10, it's intentional. And 9 times out of 10, people will deliberately do things because they feel as if you're so nice, you're so quiet, you're so humble that you're not going to say anything. And even if you do say anything, it's not going to be something that they expect. Because when people have the mindset that you're so quiet, you're so nice, you're so sweet, they underestimate you, not realizing that you're a beast. They tell you to watch out for the quiet ones for a reason. Like, I don't know if people forgot about that, but it's the quiet ones that kind of always have to prove themselves because people will play in their face. And it's like, eventually, let me show you, like, I'm not the 1 or the 2 and definitely not the 3. But it takes time to get to that point. And then once you establish boundaries with certain people, everybody gonna start falling off. They're not gonna stand you. You're gonna be mean. You're gonna be selfish. You're a bitch. You're this. You're that. All because you have boundaries. You have standards, and you're not letting nobody walk all over you, say whatever, do whatever. The moment that you did not act like that, everybody is going to not only give you the fake love, but they gonna walk over you like a dog. Don't ever think that because you have to put up a guard and it's like, oh, I don't want to be looked at as mean. Well, I don't want to be looked at a certain way, so I'm gonna just be nice. I'm just going to accept this. I'm going to accept that. You're going to drain yourself, and one day you're going to snap because eventually it's going to become too much. So to get ahead of it, nip everything in the bud. The moment somebody even think they can play with you, address it right then and there.